just got some notes from our local reporter who is inside the courtroom. So when that guilty verdict was read, I'm told that Karmelo Anthony was crying. He was shaking. His defense attorney kept his arm around his shoulders the entire time. And also I'm told that Austin Metcalf's twin brother, Hunter, this was the first time he was inside the courtroom when that guilty verdict was read. I'm told it was really emotional from both sides after that murder verdict. And as for what's next, Will, now it's the sentencing phase. He is charged with murder, so he could face up to life in prison. The same exact juror, they're the ones who decide how long he remains behind bars. And that's what this sentencing phase sentencing phase is. That reporter inside the courtroom tells me that Karmelo Anthony's mother, she's already taken the stand. This is a direct quote. She said, quote, "He is my oldest, my firstborn, my baby. I love him very much." I'm told that she had mascara running down her face and asked the jury, quote, "Please have mercy on my son." And then the prosecutor sort of cross-examined her and said, "Isn't it true you could still have a relationship with your son while he's behind bars?" So this is sort of the next phase right now. The jury is going to decide how long he is behind bars for, and they're going to call some character witnesses, including his mom that you just heard from. And I'll step out of the way. I mean, outside the courtroom, we've been expecting this, Will, but about 100 Karmelo Anthony protesters erupted out here. At least one person was detained after they read that guilty verdict. And as you can see, it is all hands on deck when it comes to the sheriff's office. They prepared for this. There's been barriers out here and really tight security the last few days.
This case made national headlines. A 17-year-old stabs another 17-year-old to death at a high school track meet over what was said to be a disagreement over who was supposed to sit where. Today, Karmelo Anthony was found guilty by a jury of his peers after a trial that lasted several days. After hearing testimony, reviewing the evidence, and listening to both sides, the jury found Karmelo Anthony guilty of murder in the stabbing death of Austin Metcalf at a Texas high school track meet. The verdict came as juries rejected the defense's claim that it was self-defense. And of course, politics are starting to get in the way already as protesters gathered outside the courthouse, BLM on one side and supporters of the Metcalf family on the other.
Karmelo! What's his name? Karmelo! What's his name? Karmelo! Say his name! Karmelo! What's his name? Karmelo! What do we want? Justice! What do we want? What do we want? Justice! What do we want? What do we want? Justice! What do we want? What do we want? Justice!
Why do we have to care anymore? Why are we even here? To be honest, why are we here? What are we here for? Because if we take up for ourselves, we go to jail. If we don't, we die. So it's a catch-22 in this situation. What do you want us to do? What do you want us to do at this point? What? I'm lost for it. I don't know what to do. I got 5 boys. I don't know what. I ain't got nothing to tell them no more. You can't walk away no more.
And we all knew that was going to happen. People are going to be upset. Either way, no one wins. Austin Metcalf is no longer with us, and Karmelo Anthony could likely go to prison for up to 99 years for murdering Austin. But you cannot tell certain people that, because the BLM supporters, all the ones that were there back in the day for St. George Floyd, are now gathering and protesting the guilty verdict because they, of course, are crying racism. But this wasn't a gunfight. It wasn't a home invasion. It wasn't a life or death battle. It was a confrontation between students that escalated into something that never should have happened. According to testimony presented at trial, the conflict began when Anthony was under another school's team tent and was asked to leave. Words were exchanged, there was physical contact, and then the knife came out. Karmelo Anthony took out that knife and plunged it into the chest of Austin Metcalf. At that point, everyone knew that this was going to be bad. Every day in America, teenagers get into arguments. Every day, people get shoved. Every day, tempers flare. What separates a bad decision from a tragedy is whether someone decides to escalate the situation into deadly violence. The jury heard the self-defense argument. The jury heard about the size difference between the two young men. The jury heard every excuse and every explanation. And after hearing all of it, they still concluded that this was nothing more than a murder. Because a civilized society cannot accept the idea that every schoolyard argument, every shove, every confrontation automatically justifies pulling out a knife. If that becomes the standard, then no disagreement is safe. No sporting event is safe. No school is safe. You couldn't even gather in public. But there's also a bigger lesson here for young people to learn. You don't need to make a permanent decision over a temporary situation. A few moments of anger, a few seconds of confrontation, an impulsive act, and you decide you're going to end someone's life. And now one family has buried a son while the other family is going to see their son go to prison. Both families are devastated. Two futures destroyed, all because someone chose to introduce a deadly weapon into something that was basically a little shoving match. And people are frustrated, and I can understand that. But the one side with the BLM supporters, they need to understand that this boy chose to go to trial. He was given an offer by the state to plead guilty. He chose not to. He would have received a lesser prison sentence. He went to trial, he took a chance, and he got convicted of the rightful charge, and that is the murder of Austin Metcalf. It doesn't heal the pain for either family. It doesn't erase the tragedy that unfolded that day, but accountability matters. Personal responsibility matters, and actions have consequences. This is a story that all young people should pay attention to, because one simple argument, one simple fight, and one side pulls out a deadly weapon. Not only are you going to end the life with that deadly weapon, your life also is going to be over, because you too will be going to prison for probably the rest of your life. No one wins here. At least the Karmelo Anthony's family will get to see him again. They'll get to visit him and talk to him. Austin Metcalf's family has to go to a grave and visit their son and talk to a gravestone and hope that he can hear them, because justice is about holding people accountable for the choices that they make.